Hello and good evening and welcome to the EV podcast streaming on Monday the 16th of May. We're going to talk about MG, all things MG in this podcast streaming and about vehicles, and we hope to inform and entertain you for an hour or so. I'm Barry Hager and it's my first time hosting this podcast, so I hope you'll be kind to me in the comments. This week we have joining with us Les Burrows. Les?
Hi, I'm Les Burrows from Wigan. Same name on the forum.
Good evening and welcome. And Steve Green.
Hi, Steve is Green on the forum. Also drive one of these behind me.
Thank you. And from Norway we have Patrick.
Second wheels and same name on the forum.
Good evening to you and welcome from Norway.
Thank you.
And Paul White has got himself out of bed from Thailand. And welcome, Paul.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Paul in Thailand on the forum.
And last but not least, from the Chorley Group, MG and Innovations and Development Manager, Miles Roberts.
Hi everyone, Miles Roberts, CG on the
Welcome,
forum.
Miles. Thank you. So if you're watching live, thank you very much for joining us, and please click the like button and join in the discussion in the chat window. If you're watching later, thank you for choosing to watch this video, and please subscribe to get notifications of when the next time we go live. In tonight's podcast, we're chatting about the ZS delivery updates, the refreshed MG5 thoughts from Patrick, and an update from Thailand by Paul on delays on the ZS and MG5 and new incentives that are going on there, plus the Aura, which we're also waiting to see over here. And then finally, Steve will be taking us on a trip to Brighton for the Big Lemon London to Brighton Rally 2022 in June. And so I'd just open the podcast to us all, and let's get started with Miles. You've got some details on the ZS updates, I believe.
That's right, yes. So the MG ZS, it's we've talked about this before on the podcast. It's suffered with some severe delays. We were originally expecting the cars that were ordered in November to arrive in, say, January, February, and some of those cars still haven't arrived. We've just got two ships that have landed in this last week with a whole load of MG5, MGHS FEVs, and MG ZS EVs on it. There aren't all of the long-range versions of the ZS EV on there. Mainly, the cars that have come across are a number of standard range versions with the 51 kilowatt-hour battery. In fact, we've just had a notification through today, this evening, from MG saying, due to the unprecedented and undiminished demand for the ZS EV range, we've taken the decision to temporarily suspend your ability to place new orders with us until we can reduce the lead times to an acceptable level. Currently, a new order for a long-range version of the ZS EV would take up to 9 months for us to deliver. And whilst we're working hard to improve that position, until we're able to do so, we need to take firm action to stop the lead times and associated customer frustration from going any longer. I appreciate this is unwelcome news. Please be assured as soon as we can reopen the order bank, we will do so. So with that in mind, if you were to go into a dealership tomorrow and try and order a new MG ZS EV, you're not going to be able to place a factory order for one. So currently the status of us as an MG dealership is that we cannot order MG5 because they've closed the order books for that now because they're waiting for the facelift to be announced. We can't order the ZS EV standard range or the ZS EV long range. So really it's a fairly limiting situation for us as a dealership. However, we have managed to secure around 60 standard range ZS EVs from this boat that's just come in this week. And so if anyone is in the market for a ZS EV and they can't get one from a local dealership, if they contact Chorley Group, either Chorley Group Burnley or Chorley Group in Chorley, we do have some stock of vehicles available. And it's basically, if you don't take these cars in May that we have, you're probably looking at over 9 months wait to get another one. So not the best news to be giving everyone, but I suppose a chink of hoping that we have actually got some stock to sell. But it's just, demand's mental. I got an email from, we've got a Nissan dealership as well. I got a note through from Nissan to say that the Duke petrols and mild hybrids, they're all running to sort of 10, 11 month delays now. So if you order a Duke petrol today, you won't see it until March, April next year. So, so it's happening across the whole, all manufacturers, but it is frustrating for us when obviously we know the MG is a popular product and we'd love to be able to take more orders for it. But I do appreciate that MG needs to try and get a sort of finger on their production schedules, and there's no point taking orders for a car that you don't know when it's going to come or when you can commit to prices, I suppose, either as well. There's been a lot of wholesale price rises in components, which would have affected MG quite a bit. So yeah, so that's where we're at the moment. So MG ZS EV, so we've got some coming in. There will be a few other dealers that have managed to secure some stock, but on the whole, it's fairly thin on the ground. And MG5, we're just waiting for the facelift. We don't have any dates yet as to when that's going to come. I've seen on the forum, Neil P7865 asked, I'm guessing not, but Miles, have you been given an indication of when the order books will open for the refreshed 5? No, not a clue. So I'd imagine it probably within the next month or so. I think that this last ship that came in is probably the last delivery of MG5s that we'll expect. And we have actually got a handful of MG5s available as well, if anyone's looking for one of those, if they're struggling for stock. Now, MG's closed the order books from today. Any existing orders, obviously, they will still be fulfilled. So if you have an existing order for an MG, you don't need to worry about that. That is still in the pipeline. But it's just if anyone was to walk into a showroom tomorrow and expect to buy a car, they won't be able to place a factory order.
So those extra ones you've got on you've managed to secure, they're not going to be used to fulfill orders you've got from your customers, or have you?
All of our orders that we've got outstanding are for long range versions.
Right.
And any long range cars that we've got into stock have gone out to those customers. So we have got about, I think, 15, 20 long range cars that have come in on this shipment. And they're obviously allocated to people that have been waiting since November. There is a difficulty here is because the government grant changed on the 15th of December. If you place an order in November for a Trophy or a Trophy Connect, we can't switch you from a Trophy Connect to a Trophy now, because you would lose the £2,500 government grant.
Because it's treated as a new order. Is that's what's happening?
The grant is locked on the specification of the vehicle, not the colour, but the specification. So you could change from a black one to a blue one, for example, but you wouldn't be able to change from a blue Trophy Connect to a blue Trophy. And that's frustrating for us. It's frustrating for MG because they probably have quite a lot of customers who say, you know what, yeah, I'll downgrade my order, save £500, get the car sooner if that's the chip that they're waiting for at the factory. But they can't do that without, losing £2,500 grant, because since December 15th, the Trophy and Trophy Connect long range don't qualify for the government grant because it's over £32,000. And then there's been a price rise since then as well. And all of the APRs have changed on the finance products and things. So if you took a quote that you were given in November and we were to re-quote you on a £500 cheaper Trophy model now rather than a Trophy Connect, it could cost you like £30 a month more, or plus an extra £2,500 deposit, because all the rates have changed, all the APRs have changed and things. So people have just got to sit tight, really. If they're after a Trophy Connect and they had the order from before December, they're willing to sort of just sit tight with where they are, or decide to sod it and go for a standard range instead. Which I know for, it's not ideal, but that's kind of where we're at the moment, really.
All right. Well, thanks, Miles. I mean, thank you, but it's not great news for.
It's not any
people
great news
who
for the
have
majority of
charging
people. I appreciate that now. But having said that, we have had a couple of customers that have, like, we had a couple of Motability customers that were waiting on long range and decided to go for a standard range instead, just so they can get the car now, because they know that whilst the long range is nice to have the additional range, the reality is they're not going to be driving over 200 miles in a day often. And so they'd rather save the money now for the next 6 months rather than hang on for a long range car. And every month they're putting in petrol into their current car, you know?
Yeah. So is anyone here on the podcast got their orders or about to place an order for a standard range that might want to take up that offer?
Well, I've got a standard range that's come on this boat. So I've switched from I had originally ordered a long range Trophy Connect. And I'm fed up of driving around in a petrol car at the moment because I was in a Qashqai, which was costing me an absolute fortune. So I've ordered I've decided to switch to a standard range Trophy. So that's hopefully going to be here this next week. So I should hopefully have it by the next time we next do the podcast. I should have had a week or so with the new car. So and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be keeping this car for a long time until hopefully the new MG5 comes. At least I work in dealerships, so we trade cars usually every sort of 3 to 6 months anyway. But hopefully, I'll be keeping this until at least I can get into another electric car.
Yeah. Right. So I've seen some comments over the past month or so, discussion about batteries between the two variations between the two cars. Is it the same battery chemistry than in the long range and also in the standard range?
No, the different chemistry, and forgive me because I keep forgetting which way round it is. So if anyone else knows the answer to this, jump in by all means. So I can't remember the names of them, but basically the 73 kilowatt hour pack is similar to a Tesla in that it doesn't benefit from being left at 100% charge for long periods of time.
Yeah, that's straightforward lithium ion.
Yeah, and the other one is LFP. So the 51 kilowatt hour is the LFP battery, and that's able to cope with being charged 100% more frequently. So the silly thing is that the infotainment screen, which shows the charging limits and things like that, is exactly the same between the two cars. So on the long range, you can choose to set an 80% or lower battery limit for charging. On the standard range, it's got the same screen, but it doesn't do anything. So they just obviously kept the same software on both cars.
Because I think if you take the smaller battery of the standard range and regularly charge it to 100%, and your neighbour's got the long range and regularly charges to 80% for the battery, there's probably only about 25 miles difference between the range they're going to get on a daily basis.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
not a lot of difference.
I think the difference is if you have a long range and you are doing a longer journey, then you top it. You do a full charge before you set off on that longer journey, and that could potentially save you a charge or mean that you've got more choices in the lottery of whether a charger works or not when you get there. So that's the. Yeah. I mean, I've used a standard range before. I borrowed the demonstrator from Burnley to drive down to Millbrook and back a month or so ago, and that was I did like one charge on the way down, one charge on the way back, and it was really, for considering I was doing sort of 400 odd miles in the day. 2 charges when you're doing a 3-hour, 4-hour journey each way isn't really that bad. But I suppose if you're less confident with finding chargers that work, if I was going into the depths of Wales or up into, the wilds of North Yorkshire, then I think that it would be potentially, better to have the longer range. But I'm looking forward to getting into the standard range. I'm looking forward to the new tech. I have been in a variety of cars. At the moment, I'm in an MG HS FEV, which is all right, apart from the fact, and Paul, obviously, you've got more experience with this. I just wish it was battery. I just find the engine frustration really for me. Like this morning when I had fully charged battery, and because it was cold and wet this morning here, the engine starts because it has to start in order to give you some sort of climate control to blow up the windscreens and things. So, yeah,
I don't have that problem.
no, I was going to say, yeah,
No, not in Thailand.
yeah, slightly less of an issue. And
Hey, Patrick, you may.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think, Paul, the thing is that as well, that gear change you get in the EV side between 40-50 miles an hour takes some getting used to. It's when you're joining on the motorways here in the UK, it's sort of as you're going down the slip road, halfway down the slip road, it runs out of beans, and then you've got to wait like 5 seconds before it changes ratio and carries on.
Yeah, I had that problem initially when I had the car, and I put it in and asked if there was a software update, and there was, and afterwards it was nowhere near as noticeable.
Okay, so I mean, this car that I'm driving has got 400 miles, and it might be that it's missed the software update at the factory there.
Right, but I have seen on the forum people saying, you know, oh, I went in and they look at it and it was no better. But yes, it was you'd hit the wall, and then there would be like a second gap, and then then you got some power. But now it's just like a slow automatic change, really.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's better then. Yeah, no, I mean, I've driven it with petrol, you know, on hybrid mode and on forced EV. And the forced EV mode, to be fair, has plenty of power. It's plenty of poke in that motor, even when it's not got the engine going. I find when it's in auto mode, it defaults to engine an awful lot of the time and doesn't like running on electric that much. And so I'm getting sort of an average of sort of 45 miles per gallon on the when it's driving on auto mode. If I manually change it around my journeys, so know that I'm doing like a 30-mile journey, so I'll use the engine when I'm doing the fast bypassy 60, 70 miles an hour bit, and I'll use the electric motor at slower speeds. That can get up to sort of 90 miles per gallon. So I think it's not quite as smart, perhaps, as I would wish. If you know, but then again, it doesn't know that I'm only going to do a 60-mile trip. It might think that I'm doing, 200 miles. So I suppose it's got to think of what it's going to use that way. So anyway, I've spoken enough, but yeah. We'll move on to ZS to talking about HS, I suppose.
Yeah. So I think it's we've got a transition now. So perhaps if Patrick, you could take us through what's happening on the front with the MG5. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, in Norway, we just got the MG5 about a month ago, the first one that came in. So the dealership didn't know it. Actually, just came to two car. Two black ones, so and a black and a gray one. So the gray one is used to test some car tests, and the black one was sold. And I was able to place an order, and I said whatever comes, I don't care about the colors. And it came last week, 4 MG5. There was 3 black and a white one, so I decided to take the white one. So and actually, when they send the cars in Norway, it's fully equipped. So you have we have two types of car. We have the comfort and the luxury. The comfort is the one that has a less equipment, and the luxury is the one that has the most equipment in Norway. So I don't know. You call it. You have other names in England for those the cars.
Excite and exclusive. We have
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have comfort and luxury. And someone asked about the battery chemistry, and it's just I had to take the it's NMC like the other ones, and it's a 61 kilowatt hour battery, and actually the MG5, which is less equipped, has 400 kilometer of range, and the luxury has up till 400. So when you usually it's around 350 kilometers. So I don't know why, but I'm sure we manage 400 with this one too. But no, I'm having a blast with that car. I mean, it's I'm happy I waited for the MG5 and not jumped on the ZS. I mean, I always thought of a station wagon, so you have as well loads of place. I have 2 kids, so it's quite enjoyable. So just
Patrick, can I ask a question, please?
yes.
You said I watched your little video when you was in the showroom with the black one. You said it seemed to be a little bit higher. When you say higher, is it higher than what the original MG5 was? Is it higher up? I'm thinking about people getting in and out of it, because some people I've said in the past, they find it a bit low to get in and out of.
The MG5 facelift is about it's actually 5 centimeters lower than the ZS EV,
right?
And it's 3 centimeters lower than the Marvel.
Right. Okay.
So it's not that much, but it's quite high for a station wagon. I mean, when I drive on the motorway, I mean, I see that I'm quite high if you compare it to a Volkswagen Passat or whatever other station wagon. It's a little bit higher.
All right. Okay.
It's a little bit higher on the road. So I mean, I don't know if it's. I mean, we only have this one, so for me it's hard to compare with the British version. So.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it was any higher for getting in and out of than what the original MG5 was, because some people who wanted the MG5 originally didn't go for it because they found it a bit too low. But I don't have a problem with it. I'm fine with it.
So they say it's 1 meter 50, 1 meter 54
overall height.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. I had to have this
no problem.
This with me.
No
So I'm not telling you any
the crib sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So the actual instrument panels and things are and the software is very similar to the facelift ZS, is it?
Yeah, correct. It's the same in a way. So it's it's the same. It's exactly the same.
And I wondered about the idea of it being perhaps a little higher than the original 5. I wonder if that's sort of people thinking through from the way in which the ZS is a little bit higher because it has a different profile tyres. I don't know how much does that work out. Is it about 5 millimeters taller? Is it miles? With going from the 50s to the 55 profile?
Going from a 50 to a 55 profile on the tyres?
Yeah, on the ZS.
On the ZS, if you go from 50 to 55,
slightly taller, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's relative to width, isn't it? So if it's 215 50 versus 215 55, you'll gain about 7 millimeters in ride height.
A lot.
That's not a lot. No, there's no change to the wheels and things for the 5 facelift, is there?
You have the Comfort has 16, and the Luxury has 17 tons. So that's maybe
right. That's different.
But the tyres then will be adjusted appropriately.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably the rolling diameter. That's the thing, isn't it?
What's the tyre size on the 17-inch wheel, please?
What do we have here? Check.
I can't believe you haven't got this information to hand, Pat. It's very unprofessional.
Yeah, exactly. It says the Comfort has 16 tons, and the Luxury has 17. So.
Do not say which tyre size, no?
Have to. I can get out and check as well because I'm actually sitting in the car with a. If you give me 2 minutes, I can go and check.
Oh, have a look.
Well, while he's gone.
I wonder, Mars, if that's with one being 16-inch and one being 17-inch, would that affect the range? He's just said that. He's just said the range is slightly smaller.
It can do. It depends on the mass of the wheel.
Yeah, that's what I'm
From mass
thinking.
is different. So it depends on the design of the wheel as to whether it's got the same mass. Before you forget, Pat, what is it?
215, 15, R17.
215, 50, R17.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, as opposed to 205, 55, 16.
Yeah.
50 profile.
Which the 215, 50, 17 is the same size tire as the ZS EV, I think, from memory.
Could be.
Steve, if you just look behind you.
I'll just slip out.
We were just saying, Patrick, while you was away, that I wonder if the different wheel size has got something to do with the difference in the range between the two cars.
Yes, that could. Yeah, I think that's
Might
one
have
thing
something
that
to do
could.
with that. Might be the reason for it.
Yeah. But I remember they tried with the first version of the ZS. They tried to put some 19 rims on the car, so it was huge, and of course the range just dropped like crazy. Yeah. So of course you want big rims. You have to pay for.
The reason. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You get that, don't you? I mean, Tesla are very good at sort of putting that up front, different wheels, different ranges on their models.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They make it very clear. Yeah.
They do. They do.
Okay. So, right. That's great. Thanks very much for that, Patrick, and telling us about your early experience with the car.
And Patrick, you've got some videos on your YouTube channel, haven't you? If people want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one. I have one since I got the car a week ago. So, but I'm planning to do a few more. So just keep on coming with questions, and I will make video on them.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I think people are going to make use of that. It's great. Okay. So I'd like to turn to Paul now. He's sitting there waiting very patiently. Paul, it's great to have you on the podcast this evening. And I'll turn it over to you now, because I think we're going to be talking about what's happening in the market in Thailand, and it's see how parallels with what we're doing here.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. So first of all, it is 2 a.m. here, so I do apologize if I stumble on my words. So if I can just talk about the PHEV first, because there are actually no delays at all. If you want to buy a PHEV in Thailand, you can have them the same week. And the main reason for that is that they are made in Thailand. And in actual fact, Thailand has been making MGs, for several years now, and I think they're actually on their third factory down in Chonburi. And Stuart, I think you might even have a photograph of the PHEV if you're there. My glamorous assistant is fallen asleep, I think. Oh, there we go. There we go. Jolly good. Okay, so that's actually 100,000 cars produced in Thailand. That was in 2020, and they're continuing to develop the factories. And a bit of good news, hopefully for some of you guys, would be that that this expansion is going to continue. Currently, at the moment, the full EVs are imported, but there are plans next year to expand production to include the full electric cars and have a big battery factory in Thailand. And what I'm seeing in the Bangkok Post, which is probably the best English language publication in Thailand, is they're saying that by 2023, not only will MG Thailand be manufacturing EVs for the domestic market, but they will also be exporting them as well. And as we're right-hand drive here, that might be there might be some MGs heading towards the UK. You never know. But getting the facts is always a bit difficult with these things. So the other thing I wanted to talk about with regard to the PHEV is that there is a slight refresh on that, and I think we have a picture on that one as well. The last podcast I was on, I did talk about the fact that the PHEV here in Thailand is different to what's available, I think, just about anywhere else. Have a number of features that don't appear on cars elsewhere. But anyway, if you can see the YouTube, the picture of the refresh is there, and the inside picture I haven't included because that hasn't changed at all. It seems to be just new wheels, a new grille, and the light seems slightly different. So not a huge change, but I'm not sure if that's going to be reflecting in what's happening in the UK. If Miles, do you know if there's a refresh on the PHEV in the UK coming?
Not that's been announced for us. So my understanding is that longer term, the HS is going to be replaced with an electric model in the UK. So we might just keep on hold of the current models for another year or so, and then probably look at a different, say, an all EV version of the HS, or perhaps the Marvel R facelift when it comes out. Might be the next sort of similar sized vehicle that we get here in the UK.
Okay. So as I say, PHEV, as it's manufactured here, there's no problems getting hold of one. That's not the case with the full EVs. But before I get on to that, there's actually a bit of good news. Thailand has finally started with EV incentives. It seems to be just as the rest of the world are giving up on those. Thailand decided to come late to the party. And they've chosen probably the worst possible time to do this. Just when everybody's scrambling to get an EV, Thailand goes, oh, well, let's give everyone an EV incentive. And I know now that what this the MG5 is, they've actually closed the orders on those because with the incentives and the lack of supply, you just you can't get them. So let's just have a look at the MG5, but we don't call it the MG5 here. We call it the MG EP. And I'm not sure if you can see the prices, and I'd be interested to hear any comments because I don't know what the prices are like elsewhere. But it's the normal price is £23,000. There's about £5,000 incentive, and then the on the road price after the incentive is about £18,000, and that includes an MG charger and the install as well. So how does that compare to the UK?
So over here, the MG5 starts at £30,000, £29,500, I think it is for the. Then you get £1,500 government discount off that, so it brings it down to around 27,995.
Yeah,
that's for the entry level model. The premium model is another sort of £1,500 on that. There were some incentives being run by MG over previous months when demand wasn't quite so tight. But since demand's got the way it has, it's just gone, well, what's the point in us offering £3,000 off the car when we can't get any more and people are buying them anyway? So so you're looking about £27,000. So basically an extra 10 grand. So yeah, it's and that, that's not dealers making the profit. I hasten to add, our profit margins are, well, honestly, I think that everyone here would probably guess and totally overestimate what we make on a car. I obviously can't disclose it for corporate reasons, but yeah, it's significantly less than four figures.
I think we have a photograph of the MG5 as it's sold in Thailand, and I did see some chat on the forums, basically saying, "Oh, MG5 refresh looks completely different." That's so this is the MG5 in Thailand, and it's a 1.5 litre petrol, but it is quite a sporty car. I've sat in it, and it's quite popular over here, and particularly with the youth, and they like to wrap them in unusual colours, and so it's sort of, you know, it's been a
Yellow
bit of a
isn't
hit.
unusual enough.
No, no. I've seen there's a singer here who's done it in a very sort of bright lime green wrap, but you know, I don't know, maybe because it looks like a Mercedes. I'm not really sure, but anyway, it's obviously a bit cheaper. And then if we can move on to the ZS EV, just to show you the prices for that one as well. As always, everything in Thailand is a little bit different, so we have different names. We've got an MG ZS EV X and an MG ZS EV D, the higher range version starts at £29,700, and after incentives it drops down to 24. And the base model is 27,900, dropping down to 22,000 after the incentives. But you can't buy one, you know. So they're saying 6 months, and the same with the EP. How does that compare to?
Again, you know, the Lux version, the X version in the UK. Which battery is that with? Sorry,
that's a good question. I don't know, to be honest. The specs are a bit they're a bit vague. So
okay, if it's the Trophy, let's say it's the Trophy Connect, so it's got the app control and all that sort of thing. If it was the top spec long range, that's £34,000 in the UK, and there's no grants. Because we don't get any grants above £32,000. And if it was the shorter range version, if it was a standard range with a 51 kilowatt hour battery, then the Lux version is just sneaks in at like 31,995. So it gets a grant, so it's 30,500 after the grant. Do you guys have VAT or anything on top of that, or is that literally the transaction price is £24,000?
That is the drive away price. Yeah, I mean, actually, I think there's a little bit of road tax you have to pay, but yeah,
but it's not £6,000 of road tax, is it?
Oh no.
So yeah, your rates are significantly better than ours.
Yeah. So as I said, the two MG EVs, full EVs, they're about a 6 month. That's what we're being told anyway. But it could be worse. In Thailand, we have the Aura Good Cat, which I think you guys know as the Aura Cat. I don't know why it's good in Thailand and not good in the UK, but that's recently launched here, and people are saying that they're being told deliveries are into next year without really too much details.
Yeah, so Aura here in the UK were hoping to launch their cars for order in like January, and then it was March. And then they decided that we were going to do a Europe-wide launch altogether, all the European countries together with the UK, and pushed it back further. And then they showed the cars at the Fully Charged live show at Farnborough a couple of weeks ago. And they said, we're going to have a limited number of like launch edition models, which will be available this year. And they're talking like, I think like 2,000 cars. And then they will open the order books like next year for actually, you know, the rest of the range. So, and then you're probably looking 6 to 9 months from there. So realistically, the car that we were first previewed here, the car magazines first got to look at around September, October last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Is going to be around a year before the first models are actually on the roads here in the UK. And I say, you know, well into next year for most of the supply. So it's tough. All car manufacturers are struggling with supply. These global supply chains that we have really come unstuck, and the number of parts that are, as I said before, you know, like the wiring harnesses made in Ukraine, or more to the point, not being made in Ukraine for the last few months, having a massive knock-on effect for car manufacturers, because there aren't other people, you know, this isn't the sort of thing, you know, it's not like shoes where there's lots of different shoe companies. You know, a car wiring harness is a fairly specific thing for a particular car. and it's not the sort of thing you can just go out to tender and say, okay, well now you build me this, because it's all got proprietary connectors on it. It's all got specific ways that the CAN wiring is all put together. So it's not the sort of thing you can just start, to knock up in spare time. Like I suppose PPE masks could be made by companies that are already doing stitching and things, not so much with car wiring harnesses. And say about half the world's wiring harnesses were made in Ukraine. So
yeah, it's
Okay, but I'm going to hand
eggs
back
in
to
one
you.
basket, isn't it?
yeah, so as you say, all car manufacturers are basically stuck, and these 9-month wait times are unprecedented in our industry, really, for the majority of cars. Some hand-built cars like an Ariel Atom or something like that, you'd expect like a year or two delay. If you're ordering I don't know, a Bentley Mulliner with a certain particular interior, a custom car like that, you'd expect it to take months. But when it's a mass-produced car, people's expectation is that there would be stock available there, and there's just not. And it is a real tough time actually for dealerships, because cash flow in the dealerships is very, very sporadic at the moment. We're taking orders, but it normally would be taking all these orders, and we'd be handing the cars over, and we'd be paid by the customer, and then we pay the dealership, then we pay the manufacturer, and it all sort of keeps going quite well. And then we get to this point where we're taking loads of orders and we're not really handing anything over. And so some of the smaller dealerships are really struggling at the moment. It's a real tough time, because you've still got to pay wages. You've still got to keep the showroom open. Even if you're not handing cars over, you've still got to keep the showroom open and everything else. So it is I'm not going to try and cry the poor tale here. I know that compared to some industries, we're still doing quite well, but it has been a tough couple of years, really.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's as you say, it's affecting all car manufacturers, but like if you're Tesla though, and you're selling a Roadster, you take the deposit and just expect people to wait 5 years for a mass-produced car. So you've got to keep things in proportion, and in the grand scheme of things, these are small problems compared with what those in Central Europe are suffering at the moment. So
100%.
Yeah.
I've just noticed that there's a question. Neil's asked a question about shipping and import duties, and I think that's very valid. I mean, obviously, Thailand shares a land border with China, so you can drive the cars across. And they also have a special relationship with China whereby there's no import duties. I mentioned last time I was on that, a car made in the UK is an 80% import duty into Thailand from the UK or from Europe, but from China it's 0. So those are two big factors affecting, helping to keep the cost lower here.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Paul, for that roundup of the market. It's good that we can have some global input to what we're talking about on this forum, and it gives us a greater sense of what's going on around the world with those. So thanks very much, and thanks for staying up. So something which is bright and cheerful, if you've looked at the website, if you've checked out what's going on with the Big Lemon London Brighton EV rally, I think that it looks absolutely fantastic from what I've seen on the website about it. So I'd just like to turn over to Steve and let him fill us in on the detail.
Yeah, the Big Lemon Bus Company is a bus company in Brighton. They've been eco-friendly for quite a while, started using oils instead of diesel and progressing on, and they've now got a few EV buses themselves, which they promoted last year in their first EV rally. I actually live along the route of it, I get to see the London to Brighton run every year with the old antique cars as well. Just look out my window, there they go, going by. So last year, ironically, the stop-off point, halfway point, was literally 10 minutes walk down the road from me. So I went down to the school where they were stopping off, and I had a good look. And the one thing I noticed, we had a couple of MG5s, but no ZSs. So I thought, well, okay, right. This year I decided, well, it's the second year in, I'll actually join it. I know the roads, I've been there, been London, been Brighton many times, but I just thought, the whole concept of it, to try and do it as economically as possible, was quite good. I posted it on the forums, just only got a couple of answers, one being £60 sounded a lot. So yes, the lowest price is £60 up, and then it goes up. But I mean, to me, it was, I thought, well, for £60, you do get a lot. You get a nice day out. There's some stuff going on down in Brighton once you get to the marina. So I didn't think it was actually that bad myself. So I've actually entered. So I'm going to join it this year and have a go.
Very good.
How far is it from London to Brighton as a northerner? Could you just explain it to me in sort of,
what are we looking at? We're looking about 50. It's about 50 miles from London to Brighton. It literally is London to Brighton. I believe the route is just on the main roads. I don't think they're using the motorways. I need to check on that though. But I haven't found any information on that so far that I can find.
Is it run the same sort of route as the historic?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes.
So it's like through Coulsdon and that sort of way, is it?
That's right. I don't know if the vintage cars do it, but I know they're leaving from south of the river, and then they go over Westminster Bridge, go around Parliament Square, and then back over the bridge, and then off down south. So they just basically, it's a photo shoot going past Houses of Parliament.
Mm.
So it sounds quite interesting. It looks quite interesting. I'm going to take my daughter and my granddaughter.
That'd be a lovely day out, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a trek for me and Les to get down there, but
Yeah. You won't have no problem with charging those, Steve. Well, if it's only 50 miles there and 50 miles back, it's nothing.
No, it's
It
fine.
should be fine. It should be fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
the whole concept is to do it as economically as possible. They will take your mileage when you arrive and your charge. Obviously, if you charge,
Oh, do they? I didn't know that. Oh, that's good.
They'll be doing all that, and then of course they'll work out what you've been doing per kilowatt.
Yeah.
and
Is
the
this-
price for the most efficient drive, basically.
Yeah, I believe you get £50 for the lowest economics there. Again, hang on, yeah, some bronze. The bronze, because there's different sections of types of entries you can put in. You can put self builds are free to enter. There's even a public transport mode as well. You can go into in the public transport. That's free to enter. I'm sure you have to pay to get on public transport, obviously, but so yeah, you can grab an electric bus to the train station and grab a train, basically. Yeah, and it's
So is this for all EVs, all make models?
all EVs, yes. You can even put enter a plane, from what I can see on the website. Yeah, electric planes can enter.
I mean, they'll get there first, but I'm not sure about the most efficient.
No, yeah, it's true.
I'm not sure where they're going to land.
On the beach.
Carefully, I guess.
We see there on the side panel the route, and yeah, so the blue symbol is where you are, is it?
Yeah.
Halfway.
The nice thing I saw last year, they had some bicycles, electric bicycles, that turned up at this on the halfway point, and some of them they're self builds as well. They were absolutely gorgeous. There was a Bond Bug. Anyone know the Bond Bug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The electric conversion of one of those. An old Austin 7 had been converted as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was some good conversions going on. The Austin 7, bless him, he was desperately trying to find a charge, and he only and it was only he only had a 7 kilowatt charger on the car, so he couldn't rapid charge. So he got to the halfway point. He's begging, "Can I plug in, please?" Because the battery was obviously very small on it, and he was
Probably 7 kilowatt.
Yeah, it was lots of different EVs down there. Saw some what else was there? Was one Tesla that not only had a decent orange, I think it was orange or red and white. I can't remember now. But he also had a custom built tow-along caravan on the back, all folded out, which was quite impressive.
Mm. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that folding out caravan, because my father, when I was a small kid, came home with this little trailer and a pile of plywood and said, "We're going to build a caravan." And he built a fold-out caravan for us to go on holiday. We used it for about 3 or 4 years.
You used to be able to buy them once upon a time, like it just looked like a trailer flat when it was going along the road.
Yeah, there's still like one of my mates has just bought one.
Yeah. I've seen them regularly. I've seen them quite a bit. Then,
yeah, like a trailer tent. Yeah,
like a trailer tent. Yeah, very similar. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. One of the other vehicles that was there was a prototype EV that ran on solar. That was entered some desert run or something, and a university had built it, and it was spectacular. But you looked inside, it was bare bones, and
no weight whatsoever. Everything rips out, keep the weight down.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and it was there quite a long time. It was there when I arrived, and I was there for a good 2 hours, and it left about 15 minutes before I left. So they hang around there for quite a long time. Lots of Polestars turned up that day. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this year. There's quite a few motorbikes as well. Some of those were good.
Well, we look forward to seeing the photographs.
Pics,
Get some selfies as well.
Yeah, I'll have
yeah. Great.
I took a few last year, and I did look for them, but you put them on a computer. No, can't find them.
Tell me about it. I should have had a big bright red MG behind me this evening, but it just disappeared from my background. So I just got one of my local morning walks and put a picture up behind me.
That looks very nice.
So yeah. Well, thanks very much for that, Steve. And it looks like it's going to be. Sounds very much like it's been a great day. I had a look at the website earlier and just familiarised myself with it. And I suggest anyone go and check it out, because it does look.
Just in the forum, the day said that Bobby Llewellyn was there last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going this year.
No.
He's a very busy man this year.
Yeah, Dan was there as well, wasn't he?
Yes, Dan was there too. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've covered what we set out to cover this evening. Thanks very much, everybody, for their contributions. Just before we close, I'd just like to remind anybody that who hasn't yet clicked on the like and the little bell to be notified, please do that. And so I'll just bring everyone's attention to a couple of things. That if you're interested in the Aura Cat, it's coming to the UK, as we've heard, and you might have an opportunity to get involved with that. But even if you can't get one, get onto the Aura EVs.com, which is our sister forum, and get involved in the big conversation there. And so many thanks for those who have joined us this evening, and our moderators, Al, who's actually a real human, and Colin, who are helping to keep the forums running smoothly. And if you'd like to support us further, and I'm sure you would, then please consider the MG EVs forum premium membership for just £3 a month. That's about the price of a coffee. and it gives you the premium membership badge, the ability to upload your profile banner, the ability to select the red MG theme, and on top of that, if that wasn't enough, a discount code for 10% off MG EV merchandise when you use the code. So I'm sure that's something you'd like to get involved in if you haven't already. So finally, have a look at our merchandise on the forum. We've got t-shirt designs, which for the long range ZS, please check out and that out and make it to make it easy. There's a link to the shop in the forum menu. And that's all from the podcast this week. My thanks once again to Paul White. Thank you, Paul. To Patrick Bernstein and Steve Green, Les Burrows, and Miles Roberts, of course, from the Charlie Group. And we'll be back with another MG EV podcast soon. So please check the forum for notifications, but click your likes and subscribe, and then we'll really appreciate that. And thanks once again, and good night. See you at the next podcast. Bye.
Bye all.
Bye bye, everybody.